I'm so outrageously happy that this is happening. I'm so excited to have you as a guest on the show. I love you more than I knew I could love a human. It's just everything I know about you, every memory that we've made together, every ceremony that we've co-created, every tear that we've shed, every dance that we've danced, every ceremony that we've done together has been deeper and richer and more fun and more profound than the last. You're truly one of the most gifted humans I've ever met. And your balance of masculine and feminine energy is not only so exquisite, but the way that it calibrates in real time to meet the need of the room is like nothing I've ever witnessed before. And it is such an honor to get to deepen in our sisterhood and our friendship and our service together. And so we're going to do something different. We've never done this on the show before, but usually before we record, we do a full ceremony to prepare everyone to get into coherence, to plant the prayers. I was like, you know what? Today's episode is why isn't everyone making life a ceremony? So let's show behind the curtain.
We are peeling it all back today.
And we're going to let our amazing listeners in on the ceremony. So Jess Magic, if you could wave a magic wand over the transmission that people receive from this, the medicine that they get through their ear holes into their heart. Like if they could take one thing away from this conversation, what's your prayer for that?
My prayer is that every person listening leave this interview, this podcast, and this ceremony feeling more empowered and emboldened to navigate that which life brings them with more creativity, more grace, more empowerment, and more deep embodied love.
Because you hear that line a lot of like, you finish a medicine ceremony and it's like, well, now you go into the real ceremony, which is life.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you actually do that, not just like in the way that you live your life, but you actually are making all of life ceremonial.
Yeah.
So, okay. So how about if you had a prayer, if you could wave a magic wand over Emily and Jess, this studio, this podcast, how would you love to feel? How would you love me to feel? What would you love to happen for our friendship in this time together?
What a beautiful question. I would love for us to feel like we are in rhythm, in syncopation, in like this collective heartbeat where we're literally just harmonizing, where we don't even know who's giving, who's receiving, who's asking, who's answering, where we just feel the collective intelligence of this conversation lifting both of us up so that we walk out of here feeling more illuminated, more elevated, and more connected to each other in life. Like that.
Like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. I like it. Okay. And is there anything standing in the way of that transmission? Either what comes through or how you're feeling or anything you want to name, clear, share, purge?
In this moment, I feel so blessed because I just came out of this love church that you and I were both at, and the closing piece that I got to bring dropped us into such a potent still point through singing and this unified space that I feel like it's still glowing through my body right now. So in this particular moment, while, in life, there's plenty of things I could name, but in this moment, my energy feels really coherent and really present.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to be there while you were in your ministry, your musical ministry, and it was so special.
Thank you.
All right. Let's dance it in. Let's dance it in. Oh.
What? Hey, come on. Come on.
Back to laughing. Jasper sometimes says, no more laughing news. And I love it so much. Oh, wow.
Thank you for that. Yum.
Only one other guest has brought it harder than me in the opening dance, and it was Barrett Foa. Do you know Barrett?
No.
He's a dear friend and Broadway fellow. But you also brought it harder than me, so congratulations.
I mean, girl, I'm just meeting you. I'm just meeting you right where you're at.
Really impressive.
Reflecting you.
Okay, so I know that you said your intentions, but I'd like to just close our eyes. And again, if you're at home, I invite you to close your eyes as well. And just drop your energy down into your heart. Taking a big deep breath in through your nose. Exhaling on a hum. Dropping 2 beautiful golden chords all the way down into the crystalline core of the planet. Inhaling that beautiful grounding crystalline frequency all the way up into your bones. Letting your bones start to transition from that carbon frequency to crystalline frequency. Taking another big breath into your heart, letting the size, frequency, and amplitude of love increase. And as you exhale, sending love to someone who might need it right now. Taking another inhale and imagining our electromagnetic fields, our bubbles of energy encapsulating each other so that all of your intentions of us being in deep harmony and rhythm with each other start to come into fruition so that our electromagnetic fields of our hearts start to encapsulate each other. Activating a powerful iridescent bubble of light around each of us, filling it with pure unconditional love, opening up our halos, our funnels, our cosmic antennas so that we may be channels of pure cosmic intelligence to come through. Our individual and shared wisdom, may it amplify each other, may it serve the exact medicine that everyone listening to this needs, no more, no less, for theirs and for our highest good. Activating a powerful golden ring of light around us and this equipment so this transmission is protected, supported, so this media as medicine reaches as many people who are ready. And may we have a great time doing it.
Naho amen ashe.
Hey, just feels a little brighter now.
It does. Everything feels a little brighter.
A little bit more coherent.
It really
now.
actually is.
Truly.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jess Magic.
My dear Emily Fletcher.
I've had the outrageous privilege of sitting in ceremony with you, both where you're facilitating, where we're facilitating together, where I'm facilitating. And it's one of the beautiful things about your transmission is that it's like your church, which you have an actual church, but also just the church that is your being, your frequency. It has this reciprocity built into it. There's this circular, feminine, mycelial nature built into the way that you operate things. It's not the old school idea of church where there's like one dude from a pulpit yelling at you and telling you what you shouldn't do with your life, which is, by the way, how I got raised. I was raised Southern Baptist, and I had like sweaty white dudes in khaki suits telling me what I shouldn't do. And I was like, this doesn't feel like it to me. And yet I think that so many people are really craving community, singing, service, healing. And you're really creating that for the new age with your church Mawali, through your medicine ceremonies, through who you are as a person. So can you just give us, like, why have you dedicated your life to creating these modern day ceremonies?
Wow, what a beautiful question. Oh, for whatever reason, I feel like, and you sort of spoke to this in the beginning, but for whatever reason, I'm very open. Like if people study human design, most of my channels are open. And what that does is it has me be very receptive to all of the information from the people that are around me, from the natural world. And really it started really happening also with the unseen realms as well. So my being is very open. So like I feel like I'm constantly responding to the information that I'm getting. And some people might call that being an empath. But I feel like I'm almost like born to meet what's arising. And so it feels like what has seemed apparent to me is that there is, there's a loneliness epidemic. People are feeling overwhelmed and victimized by there's so much intensity right now that is happening in our world. Where do we go? Like most people right now are being bombarded with the news and with fear and with like a lot of tragedy and like ecological devastation and politics, and it's like so much stuff. And so really, like, I feel like this has been a path that's been unfolding for me for at least 20 years, but especially most recently with starting the church itself and being like, I'm actually going to dedicate the second half of my life to a legacy of living in right relationship, life as ceremony.
What does living in right relationship mean?
Living in right relationship is borrowed from, there's multiple different Indigenous cultures that have brought that term forward, but living in right relationship means to be essentially assessing, like my word for it is our role in the whole, constantly assessing how am I out of balance or in balance with the world around me, with the environment, with the supply chain. Like, how am I with the planet right now? How am I in right relationship with my mom? Am I in coherence? Am I in harmony? Am I treating her well? Have I called her lately? Like, it goes from the micro to the macro. It goes from the micro of like, how did I just speak to my child this morning? Am I in right relationship? Do I need to create repair there? Do I need to say I'm sorry for anything? Am I loving myself? Am I in right relationship with myself? Am I in right, in Mawali, we have 5 circles. We've got self, we've got family and romantic partners, we've got community, we've got world and planet, and then we've got spirit realm. So I would say like it's right relationship is like constantly checking in for, are you in balance? Do you need to offer, give forgiveness in any way? Just kind of really, it's like inventory, constantly inventory.
So if you have ever thought, I am ready for more out of life, more energy, better sleep, deeper human connection, or simply the ability to handle stress like a total boss, then Ziva is for you. So at Ziva, we combine modern science with ancient wisdom to create tools that actually work. Because stress is costing you much more than you realize. It can steal your focus, drain your energy, and keep you from showing up as the human that you know you're meant to be. That's why over 60,000 high performers, CEOs, athletes, parents have turned to Ziva. Our programs don't just teach you skills, they help you master your life. They help you embody your highest potential. So whether you're brand new to this or ready to take your life and your practice to the next level, the best place to start would be Ziva meditation. So in just 15 minutes a day for 15 days, you're gonna learn a practice that will remove stress from your body and transform the way you feel and function every single day. And right now, I'm gonna give you a gift, 15% off, which you can use at checkout by entering the code WHYTHIS. So all you need to do is go to zivameditation.com, find the course that is right for you, because I'm so excited to share these tools with you. I've dedicated my whole life to refining these practices and making them as fun, attractive, and accessible as possible. So go to zivameditation.com and enter the code WHYTHIS on the course that feels right for you, and I will see you inside. Yeah, I just interviewed Gabby Reese on the show, and I was like, what is your medicine? Because she's she's very, very successful woman, but not like spiritual or like woo in the kind of the way that we are. But I was like, what's your practice? And she's like, I'm just constantly cleaning house. I take a shower, I go to the bathroom, and like, where do I need to clean up? Do I need to apologize? Like, she's like, her spirituality almost comes through right relationship with other humans and slowing down and speaking her truth. And I was like, wow. And it feels like there's an inventory happening, like constantly looking for the shadow or the imbalance or where did I mess up? Or like you said, where's there an opportunity for repair?
It's like, I'm sure you've talked about this in past podcasts, but like, sometimes we'll look at it as an energy leak. Like, is there anywhere where I'm giving away my power? Am I leaking energy in it? Do I know that I'm living out of alignment with my own values? Like, that's another aspect of, am I in right relationship with myself? Like, do I value patience, compassion, and integrity? But is there somebody that I am like withholding from? Is there somebody that I'm judging? So it's also like, it's right relationship is also a way of looking at anything that is leaking power, leaking energy, or this almost like needs a energetic chiropractic adjustment or truth speaking, or that. So it's when I put that at the center of what I call the altar, literally and figuratively, of the spiritual foundation. I wanted to put something there that I could never outgrow. And if I'm gonna dedicate the rest of my life to something, what is the thing that I can never imagine outgrowing? And I feel like even if you are an ascended master, and you're fully enlightened, but you're still living on the planet, my guess is there's probably some way you could still tweak at the very least, your relationship to Gaia, to the planet, and so it just felt like something that I could consistently be in my own practice with personally, and therefore continuously be providing and giving and learning from and teaching at the same time.
And so was that the inspiration? Like, I want to find something that that I could never out evolve, I could never outgrow, and then dedicate myself to that in the second half of my life.
Yeah, it was a moment. I was actually with our friend Layla.
Also, shout out to Layla. Thank you for letting me wear your beautiful hat.
Yeah,
in today's episode.
Ooh, girl, I wore it the other day. It's so good.
So good.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I recently turned 44, and there's some lineages that believe that that's like the real midpoint of your life. And so I also launched. We got our officially blessed as a church spiritual foundation right around my birthday, which was fall equinox essentially. And I basically went into meditation, and I just asked, if this is the midpoint of my life, then it's time for me to step into my legacy. And what is the legacy that I feel like I can devote myself to for the second half of my life? And this altar is what came through around right relationship and sacred reciprocity.
And what does altar mean? Because you use that term.
Yeah.
And there's a physical altar.
Yeah.
And I think that might be interesting. Something that we could gift people is like, how do you build an altar in your home, in your room, in your life? But I know in this sense, it's like you're speaking of it almost metaphorically. So can you define both for us?
Yeah, totally. So the way that I use altar is on the physical level is like, anything that you create in your home that basically you can physically put sacred objects there, but the objects, or you could put the elements there. You could put fire in the form of a candle, and you could put a jar of water to help you remember how to be in right relationship with the fire of your own body, or the fires on the planet, the waters of your own body, the waters of the planet. It's like a place where you could put crystals or stones or photos of people you love, a photo of your inner child. It's a place that you can put things that are meaningful to you, that really serve as an orientation point. So when I'm hosting ceremony, when I build an altar, I use the altar as like almost like a compass, as a place where people can come back to. So I think that's really like a place that if you're setting one up in your home, it can be a place that you can start the day with, and it helps remind you of what you want to focus on, who you really are. And it's something that both metaphorically and physically, if you lose your way, the way you'd use a compass, it's like, you bust it out and you're like, oh shoot, I'm a little out. I'm going like northeast and I'm supposed to just be going true north. It's similar to that. It's like if you start to lose your way or get out of alignment in some way, you can go back, and you've got your, statue of Kali. And if she's, you're working with that energy and the sacred creation and sacred destruction, or, there's just, so you can make it doesn't belong to any one tradition or lineage. But if you do have a tradition or a lineage or a spiritual practice or a religion, you can absolutely put anything that helps remind you of who you are, where you're going, why you exist. And so I think it can be really, really helpful in terms of even living life as ceremony to have a physical altar.
Yeah.
Now, the metaphoric altar is an interesting thing, because I'll try to explain this concisely, but essentially, and I might get a little like lofty, so ground me if I go in a strange place, but I think that we're living in a very dynamic, changing world. And, we don't know, we're here in the United States right now. Like, we've obviously got a crazy political landscape that's happening right now. A lot is going to be changing. A lot already is changing. And then at a international level, like, there's so much environmentally changing. There's so much politically changing. There's so much changing from a consciousness standpoint. There's like a lot evolving right now.
AI about to speed it all up
AI
too.
is about to speed. And it's like, that's not going to, no matter where we're at in the, do I like it? Do I not like it? market. It's happening, right? Technology, AI, all of it's happening. So we're living in such a changing world. And a lot of our friends are, like have land projects, and they're like, okay, we're going to have this land project either to create from or as a bunker style, and when I was really feeling into it, I'm like, there is just as we know some of the smartest people on the planet, no matter how much people think they know with a cognitive mind and how good they are at predicting what's going to happen. The most honest truth is that we really just don't know. We really don't. So in this sort of legacy meditation, I'm like, what is the thing that we can invest in that is anti-fragile, that is not dependent on a physical structure? Because, we've got people that a year ago moved to Asheville, North Carolina, because it was the most climate safe place. And then boom, they had a hurricane that wiped out almost that whole town. It's just like, we just can't know. Anyways, so with this metaphoric altar, it's like, I keep looking at it as, what if we're to build an altar that is an altar of values that can continue to support us no matter where we go, that when we feel like our nervous system has been shot by whatever's happening in our lives, and then we can come back to the altar that we're holding inside of us and energetically have a resting point that helps us remember who we are, where we're going, what really matters to us, just the same way that the physical one would. And then we can start to build that in a way that can infuse actual structures, including the human body. So it's like, that's the way that I look at the metaphoric altar, is like something that I can walk around with to help me know who I am, that I can share with people to help them know who they are. And all of our altars, they might look a little bit different from each other, but there might be aspects that are resonant. And so did that make sense?
Yeah, like what I heard you say is, world is changing. So yes, we can have our physical altars in our homes that could be representative of things that we want to work with or honor, like a reminder of ways to plug into the unseen realms, like portal points.
Like a reference point, yeah.
Yeah, coming back to whatever our true north is. And then also even, not dependent on the physical or being at your house where you can see your altar. We can have this point inside of ourselves, our own true north that we've set, that we've calibrated, that people feel in our frequency. And then when we get lost, we come back to it. Like some simple practical versions, you can tell me if these would be altars or not. Would be like when people choose a word for the year, right? Like someone's like my compass point, I come back to it. Another simple thing that's coming in would be like when people put a picture of their inner child, their younger self on their phone, or their word or their vision that they're working towards on their phone, or their screensaver on their computer. That's like a modern day reset.
Exactly. Those are amazing, really practical, really simple examples. It's just like, whoa, I'm losing my way. Oh my gosh. Okay. My inner child, it represents freedom. And I'm just like, oh, this is a moment where I was forgetting to be free.
Or a prayer. Like I just had our friend Pearlie on the show, and last night she did a session with me, and afterwards she basically prescribed that I do the Ho'oponopono prayer every day, every morning and every night, like to my inner child, but also to my dad as my inner child. And so actually I took a song that you created. I took the song that you did with Larissa, and so I played it this morning. It's just easier to have music, right? Because it's like you do it once in your imagination, you get kind of bored. Oh, let me get on Instagram. But like if there's a song there, it's like becomes this container that holds you in the prayer, that almost becomes this musical altar. And before we go into music, and I want to hear your story as well, but I guess let's start with like, for people who've never, ever thought about living their life as a ceremony or making their life a ceremony, like, why should they? Forget about why aren't they? Why should they? Like, why do you? And what changes have you seen in people's lives when they start to be more ceremonial grade? Fun fact, we were just at a birthday party. We were at Mickey and Rada's birthday party, and Jess Magic, we did an award show, and Jess Magic got most ceremonial grade. Because you really do make everything a ceremony. Yeah. So can you just sell us on this? Like, let's say, my aunt who's never, she goes to church every other month, and like there's a ceremony there. She says prayer before meals, but other than that, there's not a lot of ceremony. Why should she start living life as a ceremony?
Yeah, I think there's one. It would probably be good for me at some point to define even what is a ceremony.
Let's start now.
Oh, great. Put me
How's
on
now?
The spot. When is now a good time?
Hey, Jess Magic, what's ceremony?
What's ceremony? So I was in this moment, and if you asked me in 10 minutes, my definition would be different. But in this moment, a ceremony is a way of bringing intention. There really can be almost like a proactive, intentional way of bringing more meaning into a moment, a holiday, a breakup, the sunrise. It's a way to slow down, and it's a way to get out of default mode. Like, I think that we so often, we get into this mode of like, we wake up, making your coffee can be, and there's a way that making your coffee can be a ceremony. And I want to even offer that to people that are like, yeah, no, this is my morning, my morning thing, my morning routine or whatever. That can be a ceremony. Like, the thing that makes that a ceremony, if you choose to what I'm giving here, is like, oh, instead of just like thinking about the million things I have to do while I'm going through the motions of making my coffee and pouring the water and like, I'm actually going to like put all my thoughts into the making of the coffee. I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to put my hands on the cup, and I'm going to be like, not only why am I drinking this right now, but what do I want to receive from activating my body with this caffeine right now? Oh, I want to receive more clarity. Okay, amazing. I want to receive more clarity and focus. Okay, thank you. Like, giving thanks for like taking a minute to think about like, where did the beans come from? Thanking the water for the fact that you have clean water. It's like kind of bringing more
running water.
Miracle. I mean, it's like it's so for me, living life as ceremony is literally like constantly running ourselves through the filter of like, did I lose rapport and intimacy with life? We do it all the time. So ceremonial culture, living life as ceremony, is a way of bringing more intimacy into your life, and to just being like, wow, like I just forgot to have gratitude. There's a way that I can have gratitude for everything. And I think that like on the more dharmic level, and why would one want to live life as ceremony? It's because life is bringing us so much right now. It's like we just had dear friends whose houses just burned down. Probably some of the people that follow this podcast also follow Azria and watched her and Bee's journey of their like, very, very valuable property burning to the ground.
They just spent so many years.
It's like there's one version of a person that would literally be like, that was the most tragic thing. I will never recover from that. I lost X million dollars and like all of my belongings and all of my love, and like I am shattered. And that is like, that would be understandable. But there's also a way that there's like, you become a victim of the circumstance that life brought you that you couldn't have actually done anything about. And so then, but the way that Azria and Bee approached it was like, they live life as ceremony, and they literally went and they like asked for like the larger teaching. What am I really needing to let go of? What, and there's a way of like, and then being in prayer and ritual, asking like for any of the intelligence from our inner, whether it's our inner child or our ancestors, like, show me, teach me, like, what am I supposed to learn from this right now? How do I, is there anything that I know that I need to let go of that I can put in the earth? So it's like, I use that as an example, but, we're constantly dealing with, there's like, people get fired from their job, somebody gets cheated on, someone gets broken up with, somebody dies. It's like there's our dog runs away. It's like there's constant opportunities to feel like we are being like very victimized by life, and life is happening to us. If we want to shift out of that, living life as ceremony is literally a way to like open up the aperture. It doesn't mean that you bypass the pain or the grief or the anger or the rage or the frustration, but you include it with like a little bit more perspective and more intentionality. And also like, just like give yourself a way of co-creating with what life brought you this thing. So it's like inviting ourselves to be co-creators with what life brought us, which I feel is very empowering rather than victimizing.
So well said. So many things are coming through. One, it feels like ceremony can be an antidote to the digital world that we're living in. Like you just look on the subway, on the phone, on the elevator, in people's cars, like we're just on our phones so much. We're living some other reality
Consuming
versus our own reality.
Yeah.
I'm looking at someone else's life versus living my life.
Yeah.
So if you're like living your life like a ceremony, you're not gonna have your phone on Instagram in a ceremony. You're gonna be present, living your life, drinking
Totally.
your coffee, giving thanks for even your challenges. The thing I want to say for people who have not yet experienced medicine work or may never experience medicine work, but even if you've done breath work or a challenging yoga class or like reached your upper limit inside of your intimacy in your relationship or reached like, I don't know how to advance to the next section of my career, like all of those things, like you said, can be a ceremony. And I think a lot of people think, well, because in the West, we associate like drug use with numbing.
Yeah.
And really, when you're doing medicine work, working with plant medicines, it's not about numbing at all. It's about feeling all the way and all of it. And when you sign up for that, like I'm signing up to this mushroom journey, I'm signing up to ayahuasca, I'm signing up knowing that I'm probably going to be puking in a bucket and maybe having diarrhea in the porta potty or in the jungle. Like, and I signed up for this, not because it's easy, but because it's challenging.
Exactly.
And so when you get practiced at meeting those challenges consensually and with help and support in the ceremonial container, when the ceremonial of life inevitably sends you the grief or the death or the breakup or your house just burned down, it's like you now have that muscle of meeting hard things with the help of the divine, knowing that you're not alone and just being here and now. Right now I'm safe. Right here I'm safe. Right now I'm safe. Right here I'm safe. And hey, God, hey, nature, hey, plants, hey, spirit, hey, that which cannot be named. What is my lesson here? And how may I be of service even through this painful thing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's thank you for referencing the power of both plant medicine ceremonies and these other types of things where you like, even the challenging yoga class where you're like, you think you're gonna just, I used to be a yoga teacher, and one of the things we used to say is, how do you find your edge without pushing yourself past that edge, but staying at your edge, and there's so many different types of initiations that kind of allow us to look back and be like, whoa, I got through, that was really hard. I chose it though. I put myself in it, and then I built, like what you just said about building a new muscle. And it really is such a powerful part of being initiated as a life liver. Because if we
I am a life liver.
Excuse me, I'm an initiated life liver.
You are a life liver. I am a life liver too.
We are life livers. And I mean, I think, one of the first big initiations that I had was the first time I got my heart broken. And I
And how would you define an initiation, and how is it different from a ceremony?
Yeah. Initiation it's like a rite of passage. It's like it's almost like you arrive at a point. It's I think the way that rites of passage were used as usually isn't a coming of age. Like a bar or bat mitzvah is a rite of passage. It's it's an initiation into adulthood. A lot of cultures would used to, and now some of them still do, but they've kind of lost their meaning.
I really want to bring it back. I really want to bring back the initiation into adulthood, specifically manhood.
It's so important. At
least as women, we bleed, right? It's like there's that physical.
There's
and
a physical.
Childbirth can also be an initiation.
Totally.
But men, we've really lost it. Like the closest thing we have is football, and I think that it's really showing up in our civilization.
It's hugely. I mean, and that's one of the things that has us out of right relationship. Like we haven't learned, we haven't been matured. We haven't actually been initiated or had a crossing over point that was meaningful, that brought us out of this place of childhood and adolescence where we were speaking about this the other day of like taking, where we're just like, I was speaking with a bunch of our sisters the other day about, we call her Mother Earth. She's given us life. She's nourishes us and everything like that. But there's this, I think we're in this need to be initiated out of the Mother Earth mindset and into Lover Earth, where we're like giving back to her, where we're feeling her. We're being a good lover, not just an extractive child.
Yes. I think I shared that at one of our ceremonies from Charles Eisenstein. I first heard that from him.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so much better, right? Like she doesn't owe us anything.
No. And she gives and she gives and she gives, but she is being depleted. She is being depleted
And
by
she's
us right
talking
now.
to us.
And she's talking.
She's warning us.
She's really, I mean, I feel like, you know, some hear it as crying, some hear it as yelling, screaming, talking, pleading, you know, and I feel like the all of that, however one relates to that, is really like an asking us to listen, to slow down, to pause, to check in, to see where we're at in the right relationship, in the sacred reciprocity of where are we taking, and where are we giving or not giving truly? Where are we justifying? You know, where are we going too fast to even know where we're at? You know, when we go too fast, we miss cues. And I think that with this like fast tech, fast fashion, progress mindset, more is better, big is better, faster is better, we're losing the plot. And the more that we go out of the body into AI and we go into VR and we like leave the body, the more we do that, the more important it is that we actually have our practices like what you do with Ziva to come back come back to our breath, come back to our body, come back to our heart, come back to our looking in our lover's eyes, slow down, see where we're overriding cues in our body. Like I actually think that the world of healthcare and disease would completely change if we were to slow down, to be more ritualistic, to be more ceremonial with ourselves, to take those moments to really feel the subtle, rather than wait for us to like have, you know, cancer or have like a heart attack in order to be like, oh, something's wrong.
Yeah, like don't wait till your body has to scream at you. Like if you slow down, you can hear the whispers. So you mentioned Ziva, and speaking of slowing down, I just selfishly would love to hear about your experience in Nosara. I had the outrageous privilege of getting to do a Ziva meditation and Ziva Magic facilitation for some of our beloved, some of my favorite people on the planet. And I don't get to teach in person that much anymore. I know most of your work is like in the room, in ceremony, which we're going to talk about. But I would just love to hear what your experience was like of being initiated into Ziva meditation.
Oh, it was instantly, I could feel a part of me that needed to be replenished, like filling up my reserve tank. Like that was the most impactful thing, was like really feeling, you know, I have a lot of Shakti, I have a lot of Chi, as do you. And like, you know, so it's easy for me to give and pour out. And because so much of what I do is my dharma and is my purpose, that I find it very fulfilling, that I can kind of just feel like I'm like running on all that energy. But there felt like for me, also when we did that, I was just going through like a massive breakup, a very shocking, quick breakup. And I felt like, I felt depleted. You know, there's like some part of me that was very aligned and some part of me that was really depleted. So it was like the as you talked about the de-excitement of the nervous system, like I really just got to feel the replenishment and the refilling and the rejuvenation. And to now know that I have that as a tool in my toolkit at any point, like it feels so luxurious to have that. I feel like it's a luxury. Yeah.
We get to just like plug into the source of energy, the source of time, the source of rest, the source of creativity.
And it's so yummy. The way you guide it is so yummy. And it really is so, it's like there's zero stress. The way you like release all expectation around what will happen, what won't happen. Like it's delightful. It's so fun. Highly recommend.
Oh, thank you, Queen. It was such a delight to get to do it with you. And we just meditated now. Like we were at this thing.
Yeah.
We had 15 minutes. We just put up some cushions on the floor.
So fun to do together with friends too. Like it's like I feel like that it's always extra potent for me when I get to meditate with even one other person is so special.
Yeah. I mean, that's a real thing because it's like there is a collective consciousness, which you're so Shakti's flowing. Also, she's single, everybody. Also, so am I.
It's true. There's like a whole bunch of catch here. There's a lot of catch.
What do you mean?
Like you're a catch.
Oh, we are catches. Not like there's a catch to.
No.
Yeah, big catch. 2 catches.
Big catch energy.
So wait, there is collective consciousness. You're so masterful at working with the field of the collective consciousness in ceremony, but it's always there. And when one person meditates, my analogy is that it's like putting one bowling ball on a trampoline. But when two people meditate, it's like two bowling balls on a trampoline. If 50 people meditate in a room together, it's like 50 bowling balls. So that field just bends. And so that's why group meditation feels deeper and why people go into like even more profound states of consciousness. It's not more profound, it's just different because it's like the field is already dropped. So you don't have to work to overcome, you know, the stress leaving the body in the form of thoughts, because everyone thinks that thoughts are the enemy. But okay, so I want to know about your story, because I met you very briefly. You were sitting on a couch. I remember it very clearly. And people were like, this is Jess Magic. And this is in my like, I don't know. I was like a bit more buttoned up days. I was like teaching meditation at Google.
I got to meet you when you were unbuttoned, girl.
I was feeling a little corporate. I was doing like my Apple Google, you know, Viacom thing. And I was like, Jess Magic. And I remember being like a little judgy. And they were like, she lives in Bali. And I was like, yeah, that tracks. And, like, and you sort of seemed like this. I think you were just, I couldn't see you. Like I did not have the range or dexterity in my consciousness yet to really like see your majesty. And so thank God we got put back into each other's field. I had a moment this morning in the kitchen. We were like jumping and cheering and laughing. And I was like, I'm just gonna have a moment of grief for the 20 years that we've not been friends.
I know, we were literally like, yeah, you know, we were talking about how there are some people where you're like, I never would have liked you back then, but we were looking at each other like, no, we would have actually liked each other the entire time, even in the buttoned up. Because you would have known, like we would have met
if
even
I had
before.
5 more minutes with you, I think it would have been
100%. I am clear on that.
So we had a little moment of grieving for all the years we've not been friends. But we got plenty more.
We're making up for it now.
So can you just give us a window into your journey? Like, how did you become Jess Magic? Is that your given name? You said you were a yoga teacher. I know you spent time in Bali. Can you give us the like Cliff Notes of the
Cliff Notes.
How did Jess Magic become Jess Magic?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you the story, literally the story of the Jess Magic story.
Have you ever had a moment where nature just drops the exact message you need exactly when you need it? Maybe it's a reminder to slow down. Maybe it's a fresh perspective on something you've been stuck on, or just the perfect nudge to help you embody your highest self. Well, that is what I want to give you every single week. A dose of Ziva straight from my heart to yours. When you sign up for my emails, you're going to get first access to the downloads that are coming straight into my heart, access to science-backed tools to help you stress less and feel more alive. You're going to get a sneak peek into my personal practice and all the perks that we only share with our Ziva insiders. You're going to get podcast announcement and exclusive offers and invitation to our events before anyone else. And because I love a good thank you gift, if you sign up right now, you're going to get a special welcome gift just for signing up, and it's totally free. It just might be the very best thing you do for yourself today. So you can go to the link in the show notes or go to zivameditation.com/whythis to get a beautiful welcome gift and to receive these transmissions from my heart to yours every single week. So head to zivameditation.com/whythis, and I will see you in your inbox.
I lived in LA for a hot second. I lived there for maybe a year and a half, probably 2014. For anyone that knows the amazing sound master, Elijah Ray, he has been one of my best friends for a long, long time. And he was visiting me in LA, and he said, he's like, so do you know what I call you behind your back? Because my birth last name is Johnson, Jess Johnson.
Also good.
And, you know, it has a vibe. But and I've always been somebody that like, I went from Jess Johnson to Jess Magic. I'm never just Jess. Like I'm like one of those like two name is one.
Yeah, you're more than
together.
just a one word
person. I'm bigger than a syllable.
Yeah.
But he's like, so do you know what I call you behind your back? And I was like, what? He's like, well, when I'm talking about my friend Jess and people are like, Jess who? I say Jess Magic, and they know I'm talking about you. And I was like, no way. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's cool. And then simultaneously, I was just starting to shift gears from my more nonprofit, social justice, social activist chapter of my life into doing more music and ceremony. And I had a friend who was an international speaker, and he's like, girl, you're gonna have to change your name. He's like, you know that there are more Jessica Johnsons in the world than there are bananas. And I was like, yo,
really?
There's a lot of bananas. So like I probably should change my name. But I also, like you might have met me at a time where I was like triple woo. But I'm also like, I feel like I was also kind of like, I toggle back and forth from being triple woo to like just one woo. I don't really like to be woo woo. I'm like either all the way out there or like
one or three.
Yeah, just one
I
or three.
appreciate that about you.
Woo, woo, woo. One or three. I'm not double.
Okay.
And I was in a mode where like all these people in LA were becoming like Susie Lovejoy Moonflower and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I just don't want to be one of those people. So when Elijah brought that to me, I kind of was like, well, in a lot of Native traditions, you are given a name when the elders start to see your potential unfolding. And they start to see something about your essence and who you're stepping into and who you're going to become. And the name becomes an invocation to call you forward into that. Speaking of initiations, like receiving your name, that's another area in our culture where like, we're not really, most of us aren't initiated with our name. Our parents just like the way something sounds.
Yeah, it's given to us before they've even met us.
It's given to us before they even know who we are. They like the sound of something. Maybe it has meaning to them, but they're not communing with our essence, looking into our eyes as a little one, or even saying like, hey, I'm not even going to name you until it becomes clear. That would be a more, in my opinion, a little bit more of an authentic way of giving a name, which is literally you're constantly being invoked over and over and over and over and over with your name. It's like creating a pattern actually for you that you respond to every time you hear those phonetics. So anyways, when like as I was stepping into more music and I looked at Elijah as my musical elder, I'm like, well, I'm kind of being recognized by my musical elder right now. And he's recognizing me with this name. So then I started sitting with it, and I had a mountain behind my house in LA that I called the Magic Mountain. It wasn't the name for it, but I called it. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to go up the Magic Mountain and ask if my name should be Jess Magic. I hiked up this trail, and it was literally like things I'd never seen. I hiked this trail every day. It was like, there was like yellow butterflies flying around in circles. There was a Buddha shrine that had never been there before. There was 2 hawks flying out. And I was literally in prayer the entire time. Like, is this my name? Please, Spirit, show me if this is my name. Like, and it was just boom, 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 boom. And then I hiked back down and I looked up the definition of magic. And whatever I Googled, whatever the first thing was, it said one who uses their superpowers to affect change. And I just started crying. And my truth tears, and I was like, oh my gosh, I literally don't even know. I don't know where that definition appeared from. I don't think if we looked it up right now,
that's not the Webster's definition.
I don't think
of
that's,
it.
no, I really don't think, so I don't know where, I literally feel like it was like delivered to me, that definition. I don't know if I could even find it again. And it just felt so right. So then I didn't officially change my name for a little while. And then I started doing these early soul salons, these music experiences at my home. And people started saying to me, they're like, wow, you create magic. You're magic. Like before I said anything about that, people just started using that word. And I was like, okay. So then I received it. I received it. I didn't create it, but I did receive it.
Beautiful. And then what was your journey as far as like Bali trainings? I mean, I know so much of your work, it feels like you've studied with like medicine carriers, medicine holders, Indigenous elders, but it feels like you've worked with lots of different lineages. Can you tell us about how you've become a medicine woman and ceremonialist?
Well, like when I was born to a Christian father and a Jewish mother. And so right away, but they were both very not highly religious. Reform Judaism. My dad raised my older brothers and sister in Bolivia and Peru and Italy, and literally was like drinking chicha with the Aymara people of the Altiplano of Bolivia.
What's chicha and what's Aymara?
Chicha, the Aymara are a group of people it's like indigenous people to the Altiplano of Bolivia. And my dad lived there in the 60s. And at that point, they had barely ever seen a white person before. My dad went down there as a teacher for an international school and like just spent a lot of time up in the mountains. And shooting photos, like going to the marketplace, like learning about the culture in a really simple day-to-day way. And once he was invited into a chicha ceremony, he didn't know what chicha was either. And so, they invited him in. He was the only Westerner there. And they were passing around this, wooden bowl full of liquid, and they were all drinking it. And they passed it to my dad, and then my dad took a sip of it, and then he like asked his neighbor, who like he's like, so what is this, by the way? And they're like, oh well, chicha is, they're speaking in Spanish obviously, but they're like, yeah, chicha is we chew up corn, and then we spit the corn in a bucket, and then we let it ferment, because our spit like causes it to ferment and the corn to ferment, and then it turns into like a bit of a liquor, a fermented liquor, and we drink it. And my dad literally was like looking around the circle and being like, oh, I just drank the fermented corn spit of every person in this room. And he just started feeling his stomach turn, and he walks out of the circle and he just projectile vomits. But my birth was actually predicted by a curandero in Bolivia in the Altiplano, who told my dad, you're going to have another son, which maybe is why I have so much masculine energy. But he predicted, like, poured out
I was supposed
coca
to be a boy
leaves
as well.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I was
why.
going to be Willie.
Really? I was going to be David. We'll do another podcast as David and Will.
Oh, I like it. Okay, so predicted you'd be a boy.
Yeah, predicted that I would be a boy. My dad at that time had 3 kids who are all much older than me. So my dad was like, oh, this is bullshit. This curandero, witch doctor, da-da-da. And lo and behold, like I think it was 10 years after that, like right on time. Basically, they spread the coca leaves, read the leaves, and yeah. And then I feel like, I was predicted in that way.
So like the lineage has always been a part of you. And then have you actually sat with like elders or indigenous lineages?
To answer your original question, I kind of went on a tangent about my dad, but my dad and my mom basically told me that I could pick any religion that I wanted. They said to just learn about everything. When I was 5, I went to an African Methodist church in Boston, Massachusetts, with one of my friends at the time on Martin Luther King Day.
Like the A&E?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And there was the gospel choir.
That makes so much sense.
And that was my indoctrination to like, oh my gosh, gospel. I have a project called Gospel of Love. And it's like, I'm so, me, I'm like so connected to the harmony of gospel music, but it's like particularly Black gospel music that's rooted in Africa, that's rooted in a certain type of like harmonics and chord structures that like because I felt it when I was 5, and when I was 5 years old and I heard this choir singing the way they were singing, I was like, oh, what they're feeling is God. Like, I don't know what this white guy in the pulpit that's talking about God, I don't relate to that. But at 5 years old, I felt the energy of the gospel choir, and what they were feeling penetrated my whole body. And I'm like, oh, now I know what God is.
Wow.
And so I've got these like sort of like little inflection points. And then
I'm just gonna pause. I want to hear the rest of the story, but I just have to say that this might be why we're friends. Because at 5, I went to my mom, and I was raised Southern Baptist in Tallahassee, Florida. She was a preschool teacher. Sunday school teacher. I would go to Sunday school at Thomasville Road Baptist Church. And I remember being like, this is not it. Like for me,
Yeah.
like this is not it.
This is not
like my
it.
mom's best friend was Buddhist.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait, Reen's gonna burn and rot in hell? Like, I'm not okay with that.
Totally.
I'm not okay with it. So anyway, for me, I knew it wasn't resonating. And so my mom similarly was like, I was like, can I go? I was like, how do we know we're Baptist? Like, were we born Baptist? Did we choose it?
Yeah.
And she's like, I was like, can I go try something else? And she let me. So like I got to go to all these different churches in Tallahassee, Florida. I mean, I went to the temple and Church of Latter-day Saints and the Jewish temple. And so like at a very young age, I was able to get the imprint that God is a disco ball.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like we're all looking at the same thing, but we're seeing different fractals
Yes.
of that reality.
Yes.
So I love that you felt God as a gospel choir at an A&E Methodist church. It's so good.
It really was. It was a very real defining spiritual moment. It was, I wouldn't have obviously ever called it a spiritual awakening at that point, but it was a real spiritual inflection point.
Cool.
And so I love that you have that. And I think there's been a part of me that's just like always wanted to, I don't know, just like learn and understand what makes people tick in a way. And so when I went to Bali, the first time I went to Bali, I felt I got I got initiated into how to be with Bali. A lot of people go to Bali as a full-on tourist. They go there and they just like consume, extract, take. Some people beautifully go to heal or go to, but there's still like the reason Bali is so healing is because the Balinese people and the traditions there are constantly tending to the spiritual fabric of that place. So it's not just because there's a really good yoga teacher living in Bali that they can like do that. It's like the land itself is so deeply tended to. And when I went to Bali, I got initiated by a Balinese couple who basically taught us how to have the very first thing we did when we get there is to make offerings and ask for permission and to essentially introduce ourselves and to take us through a process with a priest where we like made spiritual offerings of flowers and incense back to the lands, back to the waters, and started to like really introduce ourselves and ask for permission to be there before we even went on our journey and had that first trip.
Like your very first welcome to Bali.
My first day in Bali.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a gift.
Yeah, it was such a gift. And then, as I started to develop a relationship with Bali, then I knew that was part of what was mine to do, was to bring anybody that I invited there to have any of my Balinese friends that are really, adept in the traditions to help initiate them and help teach them so that they could be there in right relationship with those lands and follow the way that the Balinese feel. It's like the Balinese are such loving, open, kind people, but they feel so respected, and understandably so, when people ask to be taught their ways, to learn their ways.
This is coming in so hot for me. I was just listening to Aubrey's podcast, and he had someone who grew up in New Zealand with the Indigenous tribe
The
there.
Maori.
Yeah, and it's like 60,000 years that these teachings have been kept alive in the same bloodline. 60,000 years. And my friend Vuja Deus, who also is a grid worker, and both of them are talking about asking for permission from the land.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, so it's just coming in my field a lot right now. And I'm curious if you've ever received a no. Have you ever asked for permission and heard no?
Mm-hmm. I've also heard slow down. Mm-hmm. I've heard wait. This is an area where I go in and out of being very rigorous with this, but like even with that magic mountain that I was telling you about, like I used to always ask for, every time I would hike it, I would ask for permission to go. I would look at it like there was almost like there's a portal or a gateway.
Mm-hmm.
And when, I feel places, like sometimes you could look at it at the beginning of a trailhead, that's a gateway, right? And if you wanted to slow down a little bit and practice living life as ceremony or creating a little ritual, it's like before you go on that trailhead, for instance, it's like, let me just pause, let me check in with my own energy here. What am I bringing? And I want to ask for permission to be here. But I think the most important time to do that is when you're going into a land that is not where you're from. And to really I think that especially in the West, we can have this way of, we can feel very entitled, and we can go around just feeling like, I have the money to be here, so I paid my way.
My passport is good everywhere.
My passport is good everywhere.
I have this colonialism in my bloodline.
There's so much entitlement that we walk around with. And so it's like, it's a pattern interrupt. Asking for permission is a pattern interrupt for entitlement. And so it's like, rather than just go forth and, conquer whatever the thing is, it's like, wait, is this okay? Like, do I have permission? And, just to your question around, have I ever gotten a no? It's, if anything, it's been like a slow down. It's been like a pause and wait. And sometimes I think that's also a check-in. But it's really interesting because these, I think Kauai is also a really, really special sacred portal. I feel like Bali definitely is. There's a lot of nodes like that people are very drawn to, because we like to consume beauty, because we're attracted to beauty, and we want to take it and have it, or take our little souvenir.
Take our photo.
And I think that those lands are really interesting, because a lot of people that go to those lands and don't behave in a way that is like loving, kind in right,
right
relationship will get into an accident, get kicked out. I can't even tell you how many people I know that like went to Bali, they get in a scooter accident. They went to Bali. Like what I would track is that it would almost be like tourists, you get like a 2-week grace period where you don't have to know how to do it, how to ask for permission. But if you start to overextend and just be like, yeah, this place is cheap, but like I can get so much bang for my buck here, you know, and you start to have that way, she'll like tap you right out, you know, like, and I've seen it, you know, or she'll suck you in. And so, you know, those types of things, not to like overly prescribe that, but like Bali taught me more deeply how to notice, how to slow down, how to be grateful for what the Balinese are doing all the time to balance the energies, how much they're in ceremony, literally multiple times a day, making offerings to the spiritual realm, bringing things into balance, learning ways to like, they have practices where they actually learn how to become taken over by entities in the spiritual realm so that they can get to know them, so that they're like, if there's a dark spirit that's in my village that's kind of like hasn't crossed all the way over, I want to know what that is and what it wants. So they've got literally practices where they'll bring that energy into somebody in their community. That person will go into a trance, be taken over. They'll get to commune with it in the physical. And then the priests and priestesses know how to actually remove that entity through water, through different practices. So they're constantly like, they know how to do things. They call it the land that never lost its magic.
Oof, really?
Yeah.
I've never been.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's profound, and it's getting diluted right now because they've been so embracing. They've been so welcoming. They've been so proud of their culture that they've been like, they're really getting eaten up right now. And I feel, you know, it's still very powerful and very beautiful, but like for anybody who's listening that, you know, feels it in their heart to learn how to at least be more culturally sensitive, at least learn more, at least like find a way to give back to help support it not getting so munched up right now. Like I would love that.
Yeah. Thank you for honoring this place that seems like it's given you so much.
It's taught me so much.
Yeah. So I want to, and I know you're going to play some music for us. We're going to do a little ceremony together here in a moment, which I'm very excited about. But I want to know if there's anything else you want to share about your journey of like different lineages or elders or practices that you feel like have been important in you becoming like a wisdom keeper and medicine woman and ceremonialist.
No, my friend Ishel, who's a really dear sister, she's not much older than me. She is a soul sister, but she also is one of the women in my life who I would call a high priestess, who I feel like helped to train me with working with medicine. And what I learned through her and from her was something that I felt like I already knew inside myself, but got to really, really learn. How do you marry ancient wisdom into a modern context? And
I think that is the medicine that we all need to be practicing right now.
It's so important. And I feel like, you know, I was already coming from, before I was in music, I came from a background of really doing a lot. Like I was deeply informed, like trauma-informed facilitator. I worked with people that experienced really, really a high range of sexual trauma, incest, molestation. And I had walked the path as a facilitator and a healer, both one-on-one and in groups. And so my background was more in trauma-informed therapy, somatic therapy, and the healing arts. And so when I started working with medicine personally and then started assisting and training in those ways, I already brought a lot of information around like how to track people's nervous systems, how to know what to do when someone's in a trauma response, like how to, so that was a really helpful part of a decade of training before even really doing the medicine work. But I feel like one of the things that I learned from her is that she had studied for 20 years with so many different traditions, with, traveled through Peru and Brazil and like, all different places, learning from different tribes, and kind of was very eclectic with how she would hold ceremony while being very reverential of where things came from. And for me, that ancient wisdom, modern context has been really important because a lot of people right now are really wanting to open up they're wanting to work with entheogens. They're wanting to open up the pathways in their brain. They're wanting to do it in a safe way. They're wanting to do it. Maybe some people don't even know that there is a reverential or ceremonial way to do it, but they're hearing that there's some benefit for them. And so I'm constantly like in that inquiry of ancient wisdom, modern context, how to help people integrate when they can't necessarily go to the jungles of Peru and stay there for a month, to really like work with integrating everything that they just learned, while also knowing when to refer people to a path like that and to a place like that when that's like when they really it's really the right time in their life to like do a deep dive. So that's kind of something I'm constantly braiding together, is like what's my role in that, what's mine to do in that.
Yeah, it really comes through. I mean, having had the outrageous fortune of sitting in ceremony with you, I feel like you are doing that, like taking the ancient wisdom, allowing the medicine to communicate to you, and then also improving in real time based on the need of the field, and to your, like you started with, the open channels and human design.
Yeah.
And it's really exquisite. And also I'll name like working with erotic energy, like working with the eros, working with the Shakti in a way that I think is very, I'm going to say unfortunately unique to our circle. I don't know that many people that are working with medicine and eros.
Yeah.
And because I believe that our sexual energy is like our internal pharmacology, right? It's like nature has installed this medicine inside of us, and then we've been shamed out of using it and shamed out of accessing it.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you work with both, I think, is really unique and really potent. And obviously there's a high room for abuse there. And so I understand why it has to be like in deep integrity.
It's a delicate place to play, and yet every time pretty much I'm working with the medicine in my own way, it's like it's life force energy. Like we have to find ways to clear the distortion from our own fields, from our communities, and from our own systems, and from our memory around the distortion around erotic energy, because it's creation energy. And so like it's so important. And for me, like as long as I feel like I lay the safe container and create the boundary conditions, and then have support in the space that can be angels that are tracking to make sure that everyone is running that energy in a safe way.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's like the 5 core emotions. Like we have to be able to, to me, I have a saying in ceremony that I know you've heard, that's all of you is welcome here. And I've had to do a lot of like clearing work for every person that's ever been a facilitator, that's ever said all of you is welcome here, but didn't mean it. Because if I say all of you is welcome here, then that must include, if you have sexual energy or sexual healing that's coming through, like all of you is welcome here means including your sex, including your erotic energy, including your distortion.
Including
all of you
your
is
rage,
welcome here,
including your
rage,
shame,
including your shame,
including your judgment of me.
Then including exactly. And so it's like that, being committed to living the ethos of all of you is welcome here as a facilitator continuously has me training, expanding my capacity to hold anything and everything that arises in the space, and anyone that's training with me or holding altar with me or space with me. And we're like constantly working that, so that it's like when we say all of you is welcome here and something that we've never seen before shows up, it's like, how do we become even bigger in that moment, expand our capacity to like be with that, to nourish that, to help integrate that, to witness that, to have that be reflected, to have that be like integrated into the field. So there's so much there. And so, one of the pillars, one of the tenets of Mawali is around non-rejection, and it's literally around, it's very feminine, it's a very feminine thing to be like,
receive
receive all of that. It's the mother. right? The mother, the unconditional love of the mother that is like not going to reject any part of her child, you know, it's just going to be like, wow, that's a tough one. And I'm going to love that one.
Yeah.
You know, and there's that we still need to have the energy of the boundaries of like, you know, we still need to have the boundary conditions.
Like,
but
no, you cannot have cake for breakfast.
yeah, exactly. It's like holding that masculine and feminine of the boundaries that keep everybody safe, but also that like,
I love you.
that unconditional love and the boundaries, like the yes and the no.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so why isn't everyone living life as a ceremony?
I don't know, Emily. Tell me why. Why? You guys tell me why. You know, one is convenience. I think that it's not convenient. Like, it's not convenient for the Balinese to be literally spending half of their income buying flowers and incense and baskets to be offering back to the divine. That's not convenient, you know? I think slowing down and being more intentional is not convenient. And so I think that that's one reason why everyone is not. I think some people aren't because they just don't even know that it's an option.
They've never been modeled it.
Like it's like, oh, when you break up, the only thing we know to do is just to say fuck you to your ex and never talk to them again.
Yeah.
They don't know that there's an option for a completion ceremony to like both grieve and rage and then recognize, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss this about you so much. I'm so grateful for what I learned from you.
I'm thankfully moving into that step. I've had the rage, I've had the clearing, and now I'm moving into the wows of like celebrating and giving gratitudes and wowing.
And it's like, and then we also don't know, and then we also go the other end of like the bypass. We don't know, we also don't always know how to like give the space for the rage and the grief, which is also that's also a ceremony. Turning grief into like having like grief ceremonies, collective grief ceremonies. Oh my gosh, those have been some of my favorite ceremonies. Is when people are coming in and some people are like know that they're grieving. Some people are like, yo,
oh yeah,
I'm all good. But then like if you start scanning the layers, even if you're doing so well, once you go far enough out, there is something to grieve.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're sad or bad or down, but like being able to grieve together opens up more space for intimacy and aliveness.
Yeah, I've been recently finding that same muscle that allows you to feel your feelings is the same muscle that can hold space for your pleasure and joy. So it's like we want to get it strong. Also, I want to tell the story of when we were in ceremony together and I was in a real death portal. And so I did a dance and it was called Make Love to Death.
Yes.
And Jess did the music and she was on the drum and she was singing and I was dancing. I think by the end of it, I was like naked and actually making love to death.
It was so hot. It's like goes, I won't sing the whole song, but it's sexy. It's like, there's a window to the river, a window into life, where the burning from the fire, I birth my soul alive. Everything is sacred, every waking breath, and the beauty in the living reveals the mystery of death. So I say, oh death, oh yes, oh death, oh yes, savor every breath. We did it like that.
Oh my God. This is the joy of being friends with Jess and living with Jess is that like we were this morning in the kitchen and she just starts on the refrigerator. And I was like, yes, on the refrigerator. You better make that refrigerator drum. All right. So before we close out with a little song and ceremony, is there anything else you wish that I had asked you? Anything else that you want to share? Any other ways that people could insert ceremony into their everyday life?
Yes, there's one more. And just because I know I can go into philosophy, and so I want to like really give as much practical as I can here. So one more one is that I had this vision that I think will flow out through Mawali that's called Reimagining Holidays. And you mentioned football before and like how football is this one rite of passage that or this ritual that men have in our culture. And it's true. Like when everyone in the stands sings the song that they or the chant or the rally cry of their team, that's a ritual. Everyone there is feeling connected to each other.
They're wearing outfits.
It's like literally, and it's on behalf of, like there's a shared intention. It might be like my team's going to fuck up your team. But like there's a shared intention right now, and they're getting something out of it that they deserve. Like that there's like this unifying, we are in this together. So with this reimagining holidays and reimagining rites of passage, I've been really looking at and exploring how can your your baby shower is an opportunity for it to be a ceremony. It's turned very commercial in a lot of ways, but if you go back the baby moon and the blessing way, and there's like all these different, it comes from tradition and ritual. And
my friend Mel Wells just had one because her first birth was very traumatic and very early, and she just did a blessing way for her second baby, and she said that she went in scared, obviously, because there's trauma in her body, and she said she came out of that ceremony, and she shared about all of this on social media, so I feel like I'm outing her private life, but her belly was all painted and all these women were blessing her. She said she came out of that ceremony feeling like confident and happy and excited for the birth.
It's like because she got re-imprinted, she allowed herself to be reinfused with a different imprint. And like we actually are so capable of like removing like fear and stuck energy from people. And like there's so many ways that we can do that for each other.
So what would be a holiday you would reimagine? So you're saying football, games, like even seeing that as like a chant ceremony? Or
well,
like
those are my reference point for like where do we find it in the mainstream culture? Where do we find an aspect of taking a shot together and clinking the glass is like one of the closest things we have to a very mainstream ceremony. We have a moment of saying like cheers, and there's sort of this moment where we're like doing a thing that we all know together that feels good for that moment before we black out. But so yeah, I would say like some of this feels very obvious for like, because I feel like I've been doing this stuff for 20 years, but like with a birthday, sometimes people don't even think about like how could you really harvest everything that you learned, where you were at 1 year ago, one of your own personal circles around the sun. How can you take some time to really do a harvest, check in with where you're at, and then just like do a little ceremony for yourself of like writing where I want to be 1 year from now. Like start, these things are obvious for us, but a lot of people aren't doing these. They just have a birthday and they get presents or something like that, or they go out to dinner. But there's ways that we can bring more ritual and more ceremony into every rite of passage. If you get fired from your job, like how can we actually be like, wow, okay, like I'm going to do a death ritual. I'm going to actually like go to the ground on my land, and I'm going to take something that represents that job, and I'm going to grieve something that I'm letting go of, and I'm going to put it in the ground, and I'm going to put flowers around it the way I would bury a person. It's like we can do things like that actually like allow, I'm going to grieve it. I'm going to, I'm going to feel my feelings around it. And then I'm going to like give more space for like new life to, so anyways, I could go into more detail. I know we don't have a ton of time, but like those types of things are things that I think if people can bring more intentionality, it's like there's so many opportunities to create a rite of passage, to shift from this moment to this moment in a way that's not just default life is happening to me, but I'm designing a clear ending and a clear beginning for this particular moment in my life to allow for more space for the new to come in.
I love that. So it's not just about like Christmas or Easter. It's like making a ceremony, making a conscious transition in life events, breakups, endings, birthings.
Transitions.
Yeah, I love that.
And integrations, wow, that was a cycle that I just went through.
Yeah.
And I'm going to like really be with that for a minute so that I can really learn and I can really grow and I can honor who I was and who I am because of this, or I can honor the beauty of this thing or the pain of this. Like honor is a really important quality.
I also like the idea of making your own. Like Jasper and I now have a fire pit on our porch. And when it's warm enough, like on the new moon, he'll like whisper his prayers into the leaves. and put them into the fire. And on the full moon, he'll like whisper the things he's like letting go of and put them into the fire. And it's so sweet.
It's so good. And he's going to remember that.
Yeah.
He's going to remember that because he's creating with life, with you.
And with the elements.
And with the elements.
Moon, and
I promise you, like there's going to be so many things that he's learning about in school that he's going to forget. He'll remember that for sure until he like into his adulthood. And he might even recreate it with his kids.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I do. All right, Jess Magic, will you bring us home with a little song?
Yeah.
Closing ceremony.
Oh my gosh.
What a gift.
So fun. So fun. So, you know, Emily knows this, but one of the things I love to do is freestyle.
She's so good at it. And you do it sometimes on medicine. You do it for couples. It's your living example of the fact that like creativity is all around.
Yeah.
And you just like tune in to the channel of cosmic intelligence. And it's such a gift.
Oh, thank you, my love. Well, I want to ask you as the muse of the essence of this, why aren't we doing more of? Like, tell me a little bit about what you, like if there's a prayer that you have.
Like for the show, for
the
podcast.
Dharma of this podcast.
Yeah. So the show's called Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? Because there's been 2 times in my life where I found something so profound, so life-changing that I genuinely asked, why isn't everyone doing this? And the first time it was meditation, and the next time it was magic. Like, why isn't everyone meditating, and why isn't everyone practicing magic? And specifically using their sexual energy to pray, like using pleasure to pray. And so that's why I wanted to start the show, was to bring on my beloveds, to bring on these world leaders, to bring on the people who I have such privilege to have access to, and ask them this question. When did you find something so good that you wanted the whole world to find out, that you wanted to shout from the rooftops? Why isn't everyone doing this? And so the prayer is that as people listen, that they find the modality that their soul just might need to feel free, so that we can solve the big challenges that we're facing as a species and have a great time doing it.
So I'll just try to do this for a couple minutes and see what comes through. Why isn't everyone doing it? Do they know what they're missing? Oh, they could be making more love. They could be hugging and kissing, all that life's bringing. Oh, may I introduce all my friends to modalities that can light up your soul so that you can live more intentionally in your life and you can feel more whole. Oh, yeah. Why isn't everyone doing it? You could be making more love. You could be clearing your mind and making love to divine through your thoughts of every kind. 'Cause you know with the Ziva meditation, there is no judgment of the thoughts that keep flowing. No, they're even worthy of love, even though the thoughts that come in, we won't judge them. And it doesn't mean that we are not good at it. So why isn't everyone doing it? I know you got something to say about this, Emily. Can you Emily was a Broadway star, so she got a voice and she can dance. What you got to say about this?
Why isn't everyone doing this? Why aren't they tapping into infinite bliss? God gave us all these internal medicines, and unfortunately someone told us it was a sin.
Hey.
Why is everyone doing that?
Ain't a sin.
It ain't no sin.
Ain't a sin. It's innocent. It ain't a sin. It's innocent.
It's the
It ain't a
most
sin.
innocent. Why isn't everyone doing this?
Doing it.
Why isn't everyone dancing with their bliss? We want to use our pleasure to pray so that we can feel good every single day.
Every single day.
Why isn't everyone doing this?
Doing this.
I want you all to be doing this.
Why won't you do this?
Come join us while we all start doing this.
Come do it with
Let's bring
us.
some more. I said, let's bring some more bliss.
Ooh, let's bring some more bliss and beauty. And if you rewind it to the beginning, you'll see us shake our booty. Ooh, and calling our cuties.
You can do that too when you use your pleasure to pray. You can call in your new bae and make him feel that way.
Later tonight, Emily and I are going to be going into our own special practice. So
A little Ziva magic.
And we're going to do a little Ziva magic manifestation. I'm very excited.
Calling in our kings.
Calling in them kings. Why isn't everyone doing it? We offer you all the love from our hearts, so that as you're listening, you know that you are a part of something beautiful, something mystical, something magical. And we hope you feel full.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jess Magic! Cut to the stadiums. Stadiums and stadiums.
tour. We're
people
ready. We love you so much.
Experiencing Jess's magic, experiencing their own magic, using their pleasure to pray. Oh, wow, Jess, I love you so.
I love you so much.
Deeply.
Thank you for having me here. Bless your life. Bless your prayer.
Truly. I feel so filled up. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us. Thank you for sharing your music. And thank you for reminding us that we can bring more ceremony into every single moment of our lives. Oh, sweet friends, I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. We had a great time. I hope that you did too. If you learned something, if you enjoyed the song, if you want to share this media as medicine with other folks, you can screenshot this. You can tag me. I'm at Ziva Meditation. What is your Instagram?
At Yes, Jess Magic.
Oh yeah. And where can people find you? If they want to do ceremony with you, they want to bring you into their executive offsite, to their men's group, to their women's group. Like, how do they want to attend Mawali or Soul Salon? How do they find you?
The best place is either sending me a message through Instagram, or we made a special link for your listeners that is mawalifoundation.com/Ziva, and Mawali is spelled MWALI.
Sweet friends, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? And please do share it out. Like, that's the way we get everyone doing this, is if you share this media as medicine. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'll see you next week on Why Isn't Everyone Doing This?